Have you ever felt completely exhausted? Not the physical tiredness after a long day of hard work, but a deeper exhaustion, a fatigue of the soul. A weariness that comes from caring too much. From caring about the opinions of people who barely know you, about the small frustrations of daily life, about the relentless news cycle, about every injustice in the world, about every future scenario your anxious mind can conjure. It's as if we're trying to hold 100 crystal balls at once, terrified that one might fall and shatter, and in the process, we become paralyzed, drained of all our vital energy. What if I told you there is a superpower to combat this exhaustion? An ancient tool, yet more relevant than ever in our hyperconnected and noisy world. A skill that, when mastered, can give you back your inner peace, your mental clarity, and your focus on what truly matters. This power is strategic indifference. It might sound strange, I know. The word indifference often carries a negative connotation. We think of someone cold, apathetic, who doesn't care about anything or anyone. But that's not what I'm talking about. The indifference I speak of is strategic. It is a conscious choice. It's not about stopping to care, but about deliberately choosing what and who you will spend your precious, finite emotional energy on. It is the art of discerning between what deserves your attention and what is just noise, a distraction that pulls you away from your peace and your goals. Imagine your mind as a garden. If you leave the gate open, all sorts of weeds will get in. A stranger's criticism, comparison on social media, worry about something you can't control. Soon, the flowers you want to cultivate, your peace, your creativity, your meaningful relationships, will be choked out. Strategic indifference is the act of becoming the guardian of this garden. It is you, consciously, deciding what can enter and what must remain outside. It's about learning to say to many external things, "This does not belong to me. This will have no power over me." In our journey today, we will dive deep into this concept. We will demystify indifference, separating it from apathy. We will look to the roots of Stoicism, the philosophy of emperors and slaves who sought serenity amidst chaos, for the foundations of this practice. And most importantly, we will discover how to apply this strategy in our modern lives to free ourselves from the tyranny of others' opinions, to navigate daily frustrations with more lightness, and to build an inner fortress of tranquility and resilience. Are you ready to discover the liberating power of choosing not to care? Demystifying indifference. It's not coldness, it's wisdom. Before we proceed, it's crucial that we build a solid foundation on what strategic indifference truly means. Our culture often glorifies caring. We are taught that good people care about everything all the time. If you're not constantly worried, engaged, and emotionally reacting to everything happening around you, perhaps you're selfish or insensitive. This belief is a dangerous trap that leads directly to burnout and anxiety. Strategic indifference is not apathy. Apathy is a general absence of feeling, a state of lethargy where nothing matters. An apathetic person doesn't care about their own values, the people they love, or their own well-being. Strategic indifference is the opposite of this. It is an act of profound self-respect and valuation. It is because you care so much about your peace, your goals, and the right people that you decide to be indifferent to everything else that does not contribute to them. It is an act of focus, not of emptiness. It's like an elite athlete who is indifferent to the noise of the opposing crowd, not because they lack passion for the game, but precisely because all their passion is focused on their performance. It is also not coldness or a lack of empathy. A cold person closes themselves off to the pain and joy of others. Strategic indifference, in fact, protects and enhances our capacity for empathy. Think about it. If you spend all your emotional energy worrying about a malicious comment on Instagram, the driver who cut you off in traffic, and an alarmist news report, how much genuine energy is left to listen to a friend who really needs you? How much patience is left for your children at the end of the day? By being indifferent to the small and uncontrollable sources of stress, you conserve your emotional energy for the moments and people who truly deserve it. You become a better listener, a more present friend, a more balanced partner. You protect your empathy from burnout, making it more potent and true when it's really needed. And finally, strategic indifference is not an excuse for inaction or ignorance. It's not about burying your head in the sand and pretending the world's problems don't exist. It's about differentiating the circle of concern from the circle of influence, a concept popularized by Stephen Covey. Our circle of concern is vast. The global economy, wars, natural disasters, what others think of us. Many of these things are completely outside our control. Our circle of influence is smaller, but it's where our power lies. Our actions, our words, our choices, how we treat the people around us, which projects we invest our time in. Strategic indifference teaches us to withdraw our emotional energy from the vast and uncontrollable circle of concern and to invest it massively in our circle of influence. You can't solve world hunger on your own, but you can volunteer at a local food bank. You can't control a coworker's opinion of you, but you can control the quality and ethics of your work. It is an exchange of powerless anxiety for meaningful action. It is the purest form of practical wisdom. The Stoic roots: what is and is not in our power. This idea of focusing on what we can control is not new. It is the cornerstone of one of the most practical and resilient philosophies in history, Stoicism. Philosophers like Epictetus, Seneca, and the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius built their entire system of life around a single, powerful distinction: the dichotomy of control. Epictetus, who was born a slave and became one of the most influential philosophers of his time, summarized this brilliantly in his manual, the Enchiridion: some things are in our control and others are not. In our control are opinion, purpose, desire, aversion, in short, whatever is our own action. Not in our control are body, property, reputation, command, in short, whatever is not our own action. This is the essence of strategic indifference. The Stoics called the things not in our power indifference. This didn't mean they didn't prefer to be healthy rather than sick, or rich rather than poor. Of course they did. But they understood that their inner well-being, their tranquility, which they called ataraxia, could not depend on these external and fickle things. True happiness and freedom come from focusing exclusively on what is in our power: our judgments, our intentions, and our actions. Seneca, in his Letters to Lucilius, uses a powerful metaphor to explain this. He talks about the archer. The archer's goal is to hit the target. To do this, he does everything in his power. He chooses the best bow and arrow, he practices tirelessly, he perfects his posture, he calibrates his aim, he controls his breath at the moment of release. All of this is under his control. However, the moment the arrow leaves the bow, the final outcome is no longer in his hands. An unexpected gust of wind can divert the arrow. The target might move. Someone might walk in front of it. The Stoic archer, the practitioner of strategic indifference, places all his effort and concern in the process of shooting. He is fiercely dedicated to making the best shot possible. But he is strategically indifferent to the final result, whether the arrow hits the center of the target or not. His measure of success is not the outcome, which is external, but the quality of his action, which is internal. Let's bring this into our own lives. You are preparing for a job interview. What is in your power? Researching the company, preparing your answers, choosing a good outfit, getting a good night's sleep, being punctual, communicating clearly and honestly during the conversation. All of this is preparing and shooting the arrow. What is not in your power? Whether the interviewer had a bad day, if there is already a preferred internal candidate, the company's budget, the subjective opinion the other person will form of you. All of this is the wind that can divert the arrow. The average person invests all their emotional energy in the outcome. They are anxious for days, wondering if they will get the job. If they don't, they feel like a failure, their self-esteem crumbles. The practitioner of strategic indifference invests their energy in the process. They do their absolute best in preparation and execution. After the interview, they mentally detach from the outcome. They think, I did everything within my power. My part is done. Whatever comes next does not belong to me. If they don't get the job, they may feel a tinge of disappointment, which is natural, but their self-worth remains intact. They know their success lay in the quality of their preparation and attitude, not in someone else's decision. This is the freedom that strategic indifference provides. Practical application 1. Freeing yourself from the tyranny of others' opinions. Perhaps the most impactful area where we can apply strategic indifference is in relation to what others think of us. We live in a society of digital storefronts. Every post, every photo, every status update is submitted to a public jury of likes, comments, and shares. This relentless pursuit of external validation is the perfect recipe for anxiety and unhappiness. It's like handing the remote control of your self-esteem to hundreds of people you barely know. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor philosopher, struggled with this nearly 2 millennia ago. He wrote in his Meditations, which was his personal journal, I have often wondered how it is that every man loves himself more than all the rest of men, but yet sets less value on his own opinion of himself than on the opinion of others. Sound familiar? How many times have you stopped yourself from doing something you wanted, wearing something you liked, or expressing an authentic opinion, for fear of what others would think or say? Applying strategic indifference here doesn't mean being rude or completely disregarding constructive feedback. It means performing a rigorous triage. It means building an internal board of directors for your life. Imagine you have a board with a limited number of seats. Who deserves to sit at that table and have a voice in your decisions? Probably your partner, your children, your most loyal friends, a mentor you trust. People who know you, who love you, and who want what's best for you. Their opinion matters. It should be heard and considered. Now what about the rest? The gossipy coworker, the distant relative who only criticizes, the stranger on the internet who leaves a vitriolic comment? They do not have a seat on this board. Their opinion is outside the room in the hallway. You might hear it as a distant noise, but it has no authority to influence the decisions made inside the room. You practice strategic indifference towards these voices. How to do this in practice? Start with a simple Stoic question whenever you feel the sting of criticism or judgment. Is the source of this opinion credible and relevant to my life? If an expert in your field gives you technical feedback on your work, the source is credible and relevant. Listen, learn, be thankful. If an anonymous person on the internet calls you an idiot because they don't agree with your taste in music, the source is neither credible nor relevant. The answer here is strategic indifference. You acknowledge the comment as an external event, like a dog barking in the distance or a cloud passing in the sky. It is something that happens in the world, but it doesn't have to happen inside you. You don't need to absorb it, argue with it, or ruminate on it. You simply let it pass. Another powerful technique is to visualize the worst-case scenario, a Stoic practice called premeditatio malorum. Before posting something or making a decision, ask yourself, what is the worst that can happen in terms of others' opinions? Someone might not like it. Someone might criticize it. Someone might mock me. And then what? And then nothing. Life goes on. The sun will rise tomorrow. The people who really matter will still be by my side. By facing the monster of judgment head-on, you realize that it is, most of the time, a paper tiger. It only has the power you give it. By practicing strategic indifference, you take that power back and bring it to where it belongs. Inside you. Practical application 2. Navigating daily minor frustrations. Life is not just made up of grand dramas and existential decisions. Often, our peace is slowly eroded day by day by a succession of small annoyances. The traffic jam when you're late. The internet going down in the middle of an important meeting. The dishes someone left in the sink. The coffee that spilled on your shirt. Individually, they are insignificant things. But added up, they can turn a good day into a terrible one, leaving us irritated, stressed, and reactive. This is where strategic indifference becomes a tool for daily mental hygiene. Each of these small frustrations is an invitation to give away your power. When you explode in anger because someone cut you off in traffic, you are allowing a complete stranger whom you will never see again to dictate your emotional state. You are giving them a control over your inner peace that they did not ask for and certainly do not deserve. The Stoic approach to this is, again, the dichotomy of control, combined with a change in perspective. When you are faced with one of these frustrations, the first step is the pause. Instead of reacting instantly with anger or irritation, take a deep breath. Create a small space between the stimulus, the frustrating event, and your response. In that space lies your freedom. In that space, ask yourself, is this in my control? The traffic is already there. You cannot control the other cars. The internet has already gone down. You cannot control the telecom company at that exact moment. The coffee stain is already on your shirt. The past cannot be changed. Recognizing the lack of control over the event itself is already a liberating step. The second step is to focus on what you can control. You can't control the traffic, but you can control the music you listen to in the car. You can take the opportunity to listen to a podcast or an audiobook. You can call to say you'll be late. You can't control the internet outage, but you can control your reaction. Take a deep breath, use your phone's 4G if possible, or simply communicate the problem calmly. You can't erase the coffee stain, but you can manage it with a little water and soap in the restroom, and more importantly, you can control your attitude towards it. You can choose to laugh at the situation instead of letting it ruin your morning. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. He also said, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. The coffee stain is not inherently bad. It is your interpretation, your judgment that, this will ruin my day, or, how embarrassing, everyone will notice, that causes the suffering. By practicing strategic indifference, you refuse to make this negative judgment. You choose to see the event as it is, neutral, a fact. And then, you choose to direct your energy to your response, which is the only thing that truly matters. This requires practice, of course. In the beginning, the automatic reaction of anger will still come. But every time you manage to pause, breathe, and choose a more balanced response, you will be strengthening your muscle of strategic indifference. Over time, You will realize that the same things that used to set you off now barely register on your emotional radar. You haven't become cold or apathetic. You have become more resilient, the master of your own inner state. Building the inner fortress. How to cultivate strategic indifference. So far we have talked about what strategic indifference is, its philosophical roots, and how it applies to specific areas of life. But how can we actually cultivate this skill in our daily lives? How do we move from theory to consistent practice? Building this inner fortress is a process, not an event. It requires intention and repetition. Here are some concrete practices to help you on this journey. The first and most fundamental is the Stoic Reflection Journal. Set aside 5 to 10 minutes at the end of each day. It's not to list what you did, but to analyze your reactions. Divide a page into 2 columns. In the first, write what disturbed me today. List the things, big and small. A boss's criticism, a worry about a bill, irritation with a friend. In the second column, next to each item, ask, was this under my direct control? Be brutally honest. The vast majority of answers will be no. Then, for each item, reflect, what would have been a wiser, more strategic response? Perhaps it was to acknowledge the criticism without feeling personally attacked, or to accept the worry about the bill and focus on creating an action plan, what is in your control, instead of just agonizing. This simple exercise, done regularly, trains your brain to apply the dichotomy of control in real time. The second practice is the perspective anchor or the view from above. When you feel overwhelmed by a problem, use this technique. Close your eyes and imagine you are floating out of your body, rising higher and higher. See yourself in the room, then see the building, the neighborhood, the city. Keep rising until you see your country, the continent, planet Earth as a small blue sphere floating in the vast silent space. From up there, look at your problem. That argument, that worry, that fear. How does it look from this cosmic perspective? Most of the time, it shrinks to a tiny, insignificant dot. This is not to invalidate your feelings, but to give the problem its true size. Practicing strategic indifference is also practicing perspective. The third is the internal definition of success. We need to redefine what it means to win in life. Our culture tells us that success is the external result. The promotion, the money, the recognition. This makes us perpetually vulnerable. The practice of strategic indifference invites us to move the finish line inside ourselves. Success is not getting the promotion, but being the kind of professional who deserves it, regardless of the outcome. Success is not that others love you, but being a lovable and authentic person. Success is not winning the argument, but communicating with integrity and respect, even if the other person doesn't. Every morning, set your intention. Today, my success will be measured by the quality of my actions and the serenity of my mind, not by the results I cannot control. Finally, the fourth practice is voluntary discomfort. Seneca recommended spending a few days each month living with the bare minimum, eating simple food, wearing old clothes, sleeping on the floor. The goal was not to punish himself, but to prove to himself that he could endure hardship. Is this the state I so feared? He would ask himself and discover it wasn't so bad. We can adapt this in a modern way. Take a cold shower. Go a day without social media. Have that difficult conversation you've been putting off. By voluntarily exposing yourself to small discomforts, you train your resilience and lessen your fear of external things. You realize that your strength and well-being do not depend on constant comfort. You become indifferent to many of the needs that society imposes on us, discovering immense freedom in simplicity and self-sufficiency. We have reached the end of our journey today, but the beginning of a new way of living. We have explored the transformative power of strategic indifference, not as an act of coldness, but as the highest degree of practical wisdom and self-respect. We saw that this is not a modern idea, but a timeless wisdom, rooted in Stoicism, that teaches us to focus our finite energy on what we can truly control: our actions, our judgments, our character. We have learned to separate what deserves our care from what is just noise. The opinion of a stranger? Noise. A small frustration in traffic? Noise. The anxiety about a future that has not yet arrived? Noise. By becoming strategically indifferent to this clamor, we create the silence necessary to hear what truly matters. The voice of our own conscience, the needs of those we love, the call of our deepest goals. This won't happen overnight. There will be moments when old reactivity takes over. There will be days when you catch yourself giving power to insignificant things. And that's okay. Remember the archer. The goal is not to hit the bullseye every time. The goal is the diligent practice, the intention to aim well, the commitment to get up and shoot the arrow again, with more wisdom and serenity than before. The power of strategic indifference is the power to reclaim your peace. It is the power to walk through the world with a calm that does not depend on circumstances. It is the power to build an inner fortress that no criticism, no rejection, and no frustration can shake. It is the power, finally, to be free. Now the challenge passes to you. What is the first thing, no matter how small, that you will choose to be strategically indifferent to starting today? Maybe it's the need to check your phone notifications every 5 minutes. Maybe it's the opinion of that person who adds no value to your life. Maybe it's the irritation with how long the traffic light takes to change. Choose one thing. And practice. Leave a comment below sharing what your first target for strategic indifference will be. Sharing your commitment makes it more real and inspires others in this community to do the same. Let's learn and grow together. If this content resonated with you, if it brought you a new perspective for dealing with life's challenges, leave a like so this message can reach more people. And if you're not yet part of our community, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. With every video, we are here to strengthen ourselves from within and navigate life with more wisdom, clarity, and peace. Remember, your well-being is non-negotiable. Protect it with the wisdom of indifference. Until next time.